There's a mixed feeling about backlinks in the industry. I talk to agencies that hate them. I talk to agencies that love them. I want to hear what your companies are doing in regards to backlinks that you think is working for your customers, or if you have an opinion that they don't work at all, we'd love to hear it.
Google still wants you to have backlinks. It's very important in their metrics still to see which domains are linking to you in which context, are they relevant to your industry, so on and so forth. So that's, my company still prioritizes them.
Yeah, I think it strongly depends on the specific industry and your competitors exactly. If your competitors doesn't have any backlinks and has a shitty content, so just make content. But for some very competitive niche, there is a limit how many and how good content you can create. But in the terms of backlinks, the sky is the limit.
I think that links are important, but they're in a different way than they were a while ago. So as an example, like links, it used to be a way for you to sit there and just push a website through that, did have some weak signals or did have some, bad internal linking or a bad website.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of SEO On-Air. Got three great guests with us today. We'll give them each a chance to introduce themselves before we dive into a few questions about the marketing world today and how AI is affecting SEO. This is brought to you by Stan Ventures, and I'm the host, Koa Kauwe. So, Jay, I'll start with you. Give us a quick intro to who you are and what your company does.
Perfectly. I am Jay. I've been doing SEO for well over 20 years now. I'm currently the vice president of SEO for Ferocious Media, and we're focusing on, being the digital marketing expert for the home service industry.
Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you here. And Devin, please.
I'm Devin. I founded Spirra Digital. We've been working with SEO since about 2015, and we handle all sorts of different types of campaigns for various clients. We're not really specific to any particular industries. We've worked in environmental industries with lawyers. It just kind of depends on the needs of the clients. So,
okay, Devin, thank you for being here. And our last guest, I'm going to give you the chance to make sure the pronunciation's correct before I slaughter it on the podcast, because I want to make sure our guests hear it right the first time. Tell us your full name and then what we can call you by.
Yeah, hello. My name is Wojciech. I'm from Poland, so this is the reason that my name is a bit of unusual for larger audience. It's funny because every my call with English-speaking clients start with the same question: how to pronounce your name. But after that, I'm gonna say that I'm a senior R&D specialist in Delante, Poland-based SEO and SEM agency. So my job here is actually to making making sure that we're making SEO simpler, faster, or better, as good as possible.
I think that's kind of my goal today, is to help agencies understand how to make things simpler. All these conversations stem from things that agencies maybe don't even agree on, and it's kind of a fun way to have us all take our perspectives and share them with other agencies that are listening and even other clients that are trying to find the right agencies to work with. Excited to have all three of you here to just share your perspectives on it. One of the hot topics for all agencies today is AI, and how it's being incorporated into their agency work, and also from a more complicated standpoint, how their customers are viewing it and what they're actually asking their agencies to do, or even the lack of understanding of what AI is and maybe expecting the agency to do things that are unreasonable with AI. So I want to dive into this just to get a perspective of maybe starting with the acronym of AI, SEO or GEO or AEO, and tell me what your perspective is on how SEO is changing today because of AI. I'm going to open this question up to the room. And I want to hear from all three of you guys on what your perspectives are.
I want to say that I like to read GEO as Google Engine Optimization. Because when we think about artificial intelligence, it's good to remember that Google implemented this kind of technology in search since like 2017. It's not what it wasn't like, the ChatGPT, but artificial intelligence is way more than just ChatGPT. And I think it's the important distinction at the beginning, understanding that under the cover, there is a lot of more that some chatbot.
You say Google engine optimization.
Yeah, Google engine optimization. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to throw this out knowing that we just previewed this a little bit with Jay, but there's a perspective that those acronyms are so temporary that they're maybe more trendy than they are going to be established terms in the future. I want to hear your guys' perspective on what you think the right term is here, because even your customers are using all kinds of variations of it. How are you communicating that?
I think for right now, there is a lot more acronyms than there used to be. The AIO and the GEO and the, you have to do good work, and you have to do good work that's going to show results. Do I care what the acronym is? Not right now, but if you look at some of those baselines, this is what AIO is, and this is what GEO is. It all has the rooted fundamentals of do good search engine optimization. And if you put all of them into the bucket, you'll realize that it's almost everything is almost the same thing. I think that this new methodology that everybody's seeing is a lot of noise. There's all these new tools and all these new instances of tools and all these new strategies. And it really just, if you step back for a second and look at that, it's a fundamental piece that's always been part of SEO. It's just labeled differently. And I want to make sure that we help, not only are we doing good for the clients, because we're there for lead gen and we're there to, make sure their ROI is stronger, but now we're in more of a conversational and an educational standpoint with our existing clients, that we have to let them know that new tool that they're promising that they're going to, get you all these leads and all this visibility might not necessarily translate to what you want it to translate. And it could change in 3 months. So if you're moving in that direction, that's all the way down there, and you're taking all your resources to try to mess with this new little, widget or WYSIWYG or what have you, it could run into a problem 7 months down the road where you've pretty much painted yourself into a corner.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes off the back of what both of you guys said. I think that it's one of those things where not really much has changed with how search works, but people have kind of paid more attention to what has been working the whole time, pretty much. All that really matters is that you're really descriptive, that you make sure that you're optimizing things and you're conveying things clearly with search, with the algorithms and the systems that are in place. But that's how it's been the whole time. People are just kind of catching up to the idea that it's not so much about keyword optimization as it is just making sure you're considered relevant to the topic you're trying to cover. So it just really depends on the industry that you're in with how deeply you need to cover the topics. But as topical coverage it's existed for decades. So it's just kind of come to the forefront of most people's awareness now. So
when it used to be that we were running through that, we would optimize 1 page per keyword. That doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't work to where it used to where, hey, I want to rank for 5 keywords. Let me create 5 pages, each one for specific pages. AI is bringing that weak look of, how that initiative was and saying, listen, these are all saying the same thing, just with a different keyword. It's seeing that to where we don't have to measure it anymore. Now we can say, hey, let's focus on the topic. Like you just said, Devin, topical authority is now more succinct than it used to be, and it's just exposing, low quality content much more, efficiently than we were doing, because there's some subjective nature to it. Like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. Well, you're not showing up now because AI put that, piece into the conversation. It's now black or white. It's good or it's not good, and you stopped ranking for that, or you see no visibility anymore. It's telling you right then and there that, yeah, you're writing weak content, do better.
So one of the things I think is fascinating about what you guys are saying is that it has changed. We do know that a lot of the agencies that were doing preset packages for fulfillment have changed the way that they're going about things, because it seems to be a need to customize it a lot more to understand the real what the customers are really looking for. But AI is a useful tool in producing all that content. And I'm curious, from the customer standpoint, especially from a local side of things. So I'll ask this question locally. If I'm a local dentist, I can only answer so many questions about dentistry before I'm the same as a lot of other websites might be. How as marketing agencies, your job is to help them stand out when everyone says that they're good. What's your strategy around that content, around differentiating yourself from others in the same industry? Like, it's a complicated question, but how are you spotlighting your customer to make them stand out? This comes, I'll give one more phrasing here. From a standpoint that I've heard that content is being produced and it's leveling the playing field for a lot of people to have good content, how do you differentiate your customer in a situation where everyone can use AI to produce relatively good content for their website?
First thing, when we're talking about content, we should stop talking about text, because text is cheap. But graphics, pictures, videos, this is kind of topic that AI also can understand, can produce, but the quality is it's hard to make a good video using AI than making in a traditional way is I think still a huge leverage. So and the people's behavior also change. Many times people want see and hear what you can say rather than read it on your website. And we see it looking on the source, which, for example, ChatGPT site, how many YouTube results are there. So there is a lot of signs that we need to shift our content focus from text to other multimedia.
Yeah, I can agree. There's definitely a huge edge that can be given to you if you're creating content the old-fashioned way, because people are kind of getting a bad taste in their mouth with AI being everywhere, and it does add a little bit of extra credibility if you do it the old-fashioned way. It's clearly not AI generated. It's you in video. It's photos that are actually real, not like with weird fingers or weird text or something in the background. I think it is important to make things the old-fashioned way, but there is merit to using AI and making content, not with AI, but essentially using AI to speed up the process, to streamline things, to help you optimize things a bit more clearly. But yet, I can see what the original question was, is that how can you stand out when everyone's kind of able to use the same tools? But really, whatever client you're working with has a specific aspect of their niche that sets them apart. Maybe there's 4 dentists in their city, but there's a specific specialization that they have that no one else is really focusing on. You can find whatever that is, whatever their USP is, and then make content specialized around that, angled around that. So it is important to have a wide topical map at some points, but you can set yourself apart from the competition, not only by making content in-house, by making videos, making things like that, but also just making that content geared more towards their USP, because not everyone's going to have that same USP. Maybe in a decade, there's going to be a flood after, everyone's using AI and everything like that. But right now, you can really find your edge with even just text by leveraging it around the specific specializations that they offer that might, no one else in that industry might offer in the same way. Or maybe they have a certain level of care that they have to offer that no one really has in that industry. A certain custom branded experience that you can kind of leverage in the content that no one else really can lean on. So there's still ways with just text alone that you can use to stand out. But I do think video, like he said, is going to be way more important in the future. And even today, right now, it's something that is a huge asset to have on your website. So,
and I think from an agency scaling conversation, I think that, when you're looking at, what is an offering from an agency, are you looking at it from a strategy or a deliverable standpoint with a package? I think over time, the deliverables to where you'll get X amount of 750 word blogs as a deliverable is going to go away, and there's going to be much more focus on the strategy of that package. And I don't think we'll see as many deliverable heavy packages, if you will, over time, because the strategy is going to be most important, because everybody and their grandmother already has a blog on their website about how to do this if they're in that industry. It's just noise now. It doesn't need to be distinct anymore. The other differentiators, the other pieces of strategy to show how you're better than those other competitors in your area is where the main focus is going to be in your day, not writing 750 word blog anymore.
Yeah, you guys have summarized that really well, actually. I'm thinking about, like, if I'm a local company and I'm trying to produce my own stuff, I have to build a website. And for a long time, SEO was dominated by web developers and those with like really good technical knowledge, where you could really just implement the technical changes and get the keywords in the right places, and you would get someone on page one instantly by just optimizing it correctly.
The glory days of SEO.
Yeah, today with it though, like you said, a 750 page piece of text and for what you've all agreed upon is relatively cheap to produce. So now it's like, you're really finding ways to think outside the box. Unique selling proposition is interesting because you are trying to find the brand and build a following according to the brand far more than just the keyword rankings. And I really think that's an important emphasis, especially if I thought of a small customer client trying to run their own SEO campaign. They needed to hear all three of those things. And even the video aspect, I've been hearing that way more often on SEO, that's really changing. I am going to challenge that a little bit, though, because one thing that we're hearing is that there's a fear that some of the smaller agencies that are not adopting AI quickly enough will be basically annihilated by the technical capacity of AI. So I'm curious to hear from like a video production standpoint. Right now, video might give you an extra finger, but if you went back a year ago, it would have given you like 3 heads, right? Like, it's changed so quickly. Do you feel like video in a year or two, and I'm asking you to predict the future, which is complicated, but do you feel like AI is going to be good enough that the need to produce it yourself might not exist, and that you'll be using AI for video production coming soon too?
I don't think it'll happen as soon as like a year, but I think that text is important on your website, obviously, but what can't be replicated is seeing the face of the people they're going to be working with if they do choose to go with your client. They're going to see their face and they're going to see their team. They're going to see what it looks like when they walk into the office or whatever the video might be covering. And that builds a level of trust that can't really be replicated easily without AI or with AI. I think that you could make videos with AI, like film some type of videos. There's different tools that you can have it kind of take a stock footage that you make and it builds off of that. But it's going to require some level of in-house. There's a camera in your office. The interview style, hey, I'm, so-and-so, I own so-and-so business. It's going to take a certain level of doing it manually as opposed to just having AI handle everything.
And it's going to be, like Devin just said, I don't think it's going to be a complete replacement. It's going to simplify the process. There is so much that you needed to have that SEO expertise to do, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That is no longer the case. I've been doing this for a long time, and I used to hate writing blogs. I used to hate it. It is so much easier now, and it is being, much less complicated to do so. And I feel the same way is going to happen with video. And depending on the industries, some industries are going to thrive with it because there's not going to need a lot of hand holding. It's sitting there pressing a button and then just doing the post processing or what have you. As to where 5-10 years ago, you would need to bring in a video team, hire them, the quality of the cameras, the quality of processing. Now you could do everything on your phone, and it's only going to get better. So I think the barrier for entry is much less, and I think it'll be even smaller as we go through and as AI gets more powerful.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, the AI output is just as good as people who start the whole process. So there is really important the prompt I type, the idea which start the whole process of generating content, no matter how the whole process looks. But it's if you give a monkey this kind of tool, it brings nothing. But so your idea, your talent, your skills are still really important here. And I want to say the second thing, the example from another industries. I'm a huge computer gaming fan, and we have a recent some scandal that one of the computer game lost the awards because after they win this prize, they public info about they used AI to making some asset from this game, and people were angry. So I think we will have some niche on the market, the people focusing on the things, on companies that that are AI skeptics. I'm not sure how big this niche will be, but I imagine that you can find the clients if you tell them that, oh, we don't create content with AI at any kind, it will be the USP for them, for this specific type of clients.
There definitely has been that. I've seen that with agencies today, like even those that refuse to outsource any of their labor overseas because they feel like they have better context and stuff if keeping it all in the States, but their costs are a lot higher. So it kind of separate the market into those that want to pay premiums and those that are looking for the most cost effective, obviously depending on the budget. I think I've seen something similar in the sales process though, where sequences and cadences, which are like the rhythm for like reach outs and emails and phone calls, were like automated to a large extent. I think many of our LinkedIn inboxes probably see some of that type of work. You can usually tell the difference still between a poorly written automated message and someone that messaged you directly. And it's funny that like a typo now is almost seen as credibility rather than a detriment to your efforts. I'm curious how that affects videos. Like the more awkward I am on a video recording, the more someone can relate to me rather than an AI's tool that's making someone look like they're the classic influencer. So I think we'll maybe transition on from this, because I think one of the things I think is interesting is that technical knowledge was so important for so long. And there's a transition now into where the creatives are having their moment in SEO, where like unique strategies, unique perspectives are maybe more effective because the operational side of things is getting to the point where it's a little more automated. So transitioning into the creatives dominating things, they're producing unique content. I'm actually going to move even further past that to the creatives have all done a great job now. We have 10 companies that are showing up really well for their unique selling points on they're all being lawyers. And now we still have to differentiate them through authority or through some type of backlinking and trust aspect of SEO. There's a mixed feeling about backlinks in the industry. I talk to agencies that hate them. I talk to agencies that love them. I want to hear what your companies are doing in regards to backlinks that you think is working for your customers, or if you have an opinion that they don't work at all, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we still doing backlinks. It's it's still important from Google and for AI, or rather for LLMs. Not just the backlinks that the HTML tag related to the hrefs is important, but rather brand mentions. So a little different goal, but at the end you have still published a lot of articles, a lot of texts in different websites that are talking about you, about your company.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's one of those things where I don't see it going away for a long time. Backlinks are still completely needed. I do think that it's one of those things where, yeah, I've heard the arguments where it's better to have relevant content and optimizing your content to where you don't. I've heard of people ranking without backlinks, but it's very evident that Google still wants you to have backlinks. It's very important in their metrics still to see which domains are linking to you, in which context, are they relevant to your industry, so on and so forth. So that's, yeah, my company still prioritizes them. It's not, I would say it's more of like a supplementary thing. You need to have quality content, but if you're not reinforcing it with backlinks, it's just not you're not really going to get anywhere, especially if you have competition that does prioritize backlinks. So
Yeah, I think it strongly depends on the specific industry and your competitors exactly. If your competitors doesn't have any backlinks and has a shitty content, so just make content. But for some very competitive niche, there is a limit how many and how good content you can create. But in the terms of backlinks, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, I don't think that the way links matter today is different than how it used to be. It used to be that you would just...
Sorry, I'm going to make sure. You don't think it is, or you think today?
No, I think that links are important, but they're in a different way than they were a while ago. So as an example, like links, it used to be a way for you to sit there and just push a website through that, did have some weak signals or did have some, bad internal linking or a bad website or what have you. Hey, you want to rank that? Let's throw 100 links to that section and we'll be good. I don't think that matters anymore. I think what you do and what you do with those pieces matter more. And I don't think you can just throw a bunch of links at sites anymore and be like, okay, this is what I'll do to see those rankings. I think it's part of the longer discussion and no longer a crutch or, a blunt force like ranking lever to be like, oh yeah, you want to rank this quickly? Let me throw 20 more links to that page and I'll get it. I don't think that matters anymore.
It's the phrase putting lipstick on a pig comes to mind where if AI is, we call it like, if it's an answer engine optimization, not just search, right? And it's trying to get an answer and you tell it with a bunch of backlinks that this is the recommended answer, but your answer sucks. You did terrible SEO.
The other thing too is you're also dealing with what everything happened 5 years past, 10 years past. So you're getting sites that are coming through and, the conversation is not just how many you have, it's, is the quality still there? You need to look at what's happened in the past 5 years and say, hey, listen, those beautiful things are now part of a link farm. Are you watching what's happening? So it's not just what's going forward. It's making sure that your backlink health is healthy as you're looking at these sites, because even something that was 2 years purchased or 2 years grabbed or 2 years, fixed onto the site could be causing a detrimental situation for you today.
That's a really interesting perspective. So when I talk to agencies about backlinks, there's a very, very broad view of what a quality backlink is. And for the sake of just people understanding that perspective being different, I'm curious to hear from a backlinking perspective, if you're open to sharing it with everybody, what does your company consider good enough for the customer? And where do you draw the line from a backlink being, we don't want any part of that, please leave me alone? Because we all get those emails in our inbox.
If I had a quarter for every time I got a backlink purchase request, I wouldn't need to work. It happens. I don't look at any of those companies. Any company that's looking for me in the inbox, I'm just not looking at, because I know there's companies out there that I trust for that type of authority. I focus on the front words like, okay, when you get someone coming into our business, we're going to make sure that we're creating a great experience that's going to drive more backlinks authentically and automatically, not sitting there to where I'm going to buy 12 DA40s or what have you. I don't want to do that. But there's sites coming in to where, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, a site came in with like 2,000-3,000 backlinks, were like a known link farm, like literally saying like, these are detrimental, these are not good, these are money links, these are bad links, or what have you. So disavowing those is probably a good idea. In terms of how to get more of them or how to run with those situations, we're looking at them individually. Like, we're not cookie cutter anything of this. I have 5 clients, and yes, I'm in a specialized industry. I'm dealing with home services. I don't have like another industry that's dealing with computer service or anything like that. So I'm kind of in my zone, if you will, but still every website, every location, every area, every experience, and every backlink is different, and you need to look at them. You need to look at them, review them, and if it smells bad, it's probably bad, and you've got to check the rest of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said about checking old backlinks and verifying that they're still good backlinks that isn't talked about enough, because that does happen. The domain transfers ownership and it turns into a link farm, and it's like a silent thing that can drag you back. So I think that's kind of an important topic. Now, what you were saying, Koa, about what qualifies as a good backlink, do you want us to share like what we consider in terms of metrics? Because I have like specific metrics.
If you have metrics that you consider, I would love to hear that. But I also understand that maybe you don't seek metrics, and maybe you're seeking just organic connections and don't care what the DA is. So if it's just differing strategies, I want to hear how you do it.
It depends on what the backlink's for. But if it's like a really highly relevant, maybe it's like a blog that might be lower DR than I would normally take. If it's going to be an editorial link, I'll take it. Even if it's like a level 5 or 10 DR, if it's an editorial link and it's in a relevant blog or relevant informational resource, I'll take that. But typically, if it's not necessarily a link like that, I like for anything 50 or above in terms of the domain rating, I want it to have at least 500 to 600 in organic traffic for at least like a year. And I look for a good ratio that's at least a 1-to-1. So like one domain linking to this domain. For every one domain that it links to, it gets one domain that links back. And it's better if they have 2 domains linking to them for every domain they link to. So that's the metrics. That might go over some people's heads, but it's very important to look at. Have at least like a baseline metric that you're willing to accept when it comes to backlink building. So
yeah, the organic traffic is one that I feel like has been underestimated by people for a long time. At this point, like Google's almost recognizing that traffic as the link more than just the link back to your site. Like you have to have something that's not dead. There's plenty of dead websites on the internet.
Don't just look at the DA and the DR, because those are technically made up names. Like no one's sitting there saying, what's that piece or what's that piece. I understand that we need some sort of quantification and qualification for that. But yeah, if you're buying a 40 with no traffic on that site, it's inflated. There's something there, and I'm not looking for something like that. I'd rather have a DA10 with traffic flowing through that shows a little bit more trust than, hey, this is artificially inflated.
Yeah, so I think I have a little different approach in terms of good backlinks, because from my perspective, the good backlinks just works. So no matter how it looks, no matter how the metrics there are, if after creating these backlinks, my website going up, that means it was a good backlink. And the problem is you cannot tell until you create this backlink. So it's always quite kind of hazard a little, but I'm not afraid about bad backlinks. I think right now the Google made very good job ignoring this kind of spammy links. So I don't remember when was the last time when I'm using disable tools.
I think that perspective is interesting.
They're retiring it, so it's a tool that you're not really even going to be able to have access to before too long. I still use it just because it's like habit, but it's being retired pretty soon. So just the disavow tool.
I think there's a balance there that's interesting, because I do think about this from like the customer perspective. Some of the agencies that refuse to do backlinks are so afraid that the backlinks they're going to get are going to be bad and somehow turn their customer's website completely off, and they'll never. They're so afraid of the negative consequences of it.
Yeah, I think right now it's easier to harm a website putting a lot of AI generating content than creating a lot of backlinks.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Thin content is much, much worse. Content that's just blatantly written for the algorithm or for the search engines is much more harmful, especially long-term harmful effects. Like Devin said or what have you, they're working to weed out all of those negative backlinks or all those backlinks that might be detrimental. So yeah, if I had my druthers, I'd rather have, a backlink that's not that great over, shoddy written content any day of the week.
I think that's the makeup on a pig kind of thing, right? Like you have to have a solid baseline in the beginning.
I don't think that, you can definitely tank a website if you just spam 100 pages of AI written content to it like a week or something like that. For sure, yeah. Thin content, AI written content can cause a lot more harm, a lot quicker, a lot more predictably than a bad backlink. But if you send like a backlink, there's some backlinks that just send like hundreds of links. And if it's not a relevant backlink or if it's a low quality backlink that does something like that, you can for sure tank a domain. Now, that's why I think it's important to have like the baseline metrics to where you can say, okay, well, obviously domain rating it's a manufactured concept. It just kind of gives you a look into the quality of the link in general, but it's not concrete. It's not like it comes from Google. It's from Ahrefs, or whatever other tool you use, but it does kind of help you protect yourself a little bit more. And I think it's still wise to have some caution about building backlinks. There should be, I'm not saying it universally, but I think that it's better to have more of a cautionary approach to it than, but at the same time, you don't really know what's going to hurt you and what's not. You could build a good backlink and in 10 years, it could be bought over, it could be a link farm, and that good backlink could hurt you. So it depends on the situation. But
yeah, I think a couple of the signals that we tend to look for on like a good quality backlink, we already talked traffic is one of them. That's a good sign. Traffic trending, like positive and no weird spikes, the spam score being low, so the traffic's not all from like crazy places or from crazy keywords that were tagged in there. And then even just like the majority of the traffic being in the right location, which is funny. And then the interlinking network that you've already talked about, like how many links are back and forth. I did a review for someone and saw that of the $2,500 a month they were spending on backlinks, only one of them had traffic. Majority of that traffic was from India. Half of them were not indexed. And there was something else that was pretty bad about it. But in the end, he was like, yeah, but I don't really want to change anything because since I've started doing these, we've been getting better results. And so I balance like where do you set the bar if you're getting those results? Like Voya may have mentioned, like, hey, why are we so worried about the quality? If it's getting the trends or the patterns that we're looking for, then it's doing its job in backlinking work. And you can even potentially save the customer money versus like this view of we're only going to do quality backlinks that could cost you performance at a sense. And it's very interesting as we kind of assess how people are viewing their own backlinks internally because each strategy is a bit different.
I agree. My only thing is we are one update away from that strategy completely tanking your website. If you're looking at it structuring the conversation on, well, it's doing good today. I mean, everybody thought it was great to keyword stuff until it wasn't. Everybody thought it was great to do, all of these, other techniques or what have you, and then the Panda update happened. So you're one step in the direction, but you're not looking 6 steps ahead. And I think that could be something that you might be shooting yourself in the foot later afterwards. So I like a cautious approach. If you're looking at it short term, I think you're kind of putting yourself in a very vulnerable position in the longer term.
That's an interesting perspective of personalities and how risk adverse they may be.
Yeah. Well, it's not my website. It's not my website.
It depends on the project you work. If you do for real business, so the long term perspective is very important. But if you're doing SEO for your own project, or like some affiliate website, and if you can generate results quickly. So even if Google tanked this website after 6 months, if during this time you earn off this, so it was okay for me.
I guess it depends on the context in terms of what type of project are you building. But I completely agree with what Jay was saying. It's one update away. Like you never really know. you could build lower quality backlinks forever and never get penalized, or they could up the ante on that particular, on the systems that detect, backlink quality and health, and you could tank yourself. So that's typically why I like to have a baseline threshold for link quality. But if the client is willing to accept below that a little bit, I'm fine with that too. But I make sure to explain, hey, there's a risk to these types of things. So it just depends on what your client feels.
I really like that perspective too. That does give me a different view of this that I don't know if I've realized before, which is, as the agency that's helping this customer with their SEO, if they fail, it's completely on you guys that you implemented a strategy that would hurt them. And you're really taking that customer's results to heart and saying, we're not going to take a risk because I'm invested in you for the long term.
Right.
Instead of pushing results within a year or two and taking chances that they may not want. But to Voi's perspective too, if you have a customer that needs revenue now, they're like, hey, we can't wait 6 months, a year. We need to push results quicker. There's like a balance of getting them quick results versus long term.
I'm not sure if you understand me correctly. So if a client came to me and tell that he needs results quickly, I'm going to tell that probably SEO is not the best way for you right now.
I can agree with that. I think we'll all agree with you there. But getting those rankings faster, I think, leans into the backlinks are a good way to push results faster if you need them faster. Which has been, again, if you've done, and I'll back you up on this, if you've done the foundational SEO right in the first place, how aggressive someone might be on backlinks is where we're talking about like how risk adverse they may be versus.
And for the bigger project, bigger websites, there is the segment of website which are too big to Google can easily penalize them. So if you're working with that kind of client, you can do more like for a completely new domain.
That's interesting. One of the things we saw this year was HubSpot taking a huge hit, and they weren't a small company, but they're not the.
HubSpot is, I think, more difficult, not difficult, more complex example, because I didn't see it as a penalty rather than their strategy. They lost a lot of traffic, but it was important traffic for them, business important traffic.
That was really top of the funnel stuff, right?
There's been other instances. There's been there was a situation with Forbes. There was a situation with all of those, and I don't remember the exact industry, but all those music lyrics and, those sites that were running into those huge dumps of traffic because they were just really glorified link farms or what have you. In terms of links, and that's the situation that I was saying, I'm trying to future-proof my clients because I don't want them coming up and having discussion with someone else 2 years down the road. Oh, that Jay guy, yeah, he tanked my website. That's going to come up. A compliment I might not hear in 3 months, but if someone hates me or hates my company, they're going to tell everybody and their grandmother how much they hate my company and why.
I love it. You put your personal brand on the line to do right by your customer, and you're going to stand by your strategy. You're not going to take those chances with them. I can respect that. I actually think that that's more of what the agency world needs rather than the other agencies that just plug everything in, walk away and hope it worked. And then in 6 months, the customer turns over and you guys, the three of you are all trying to fix that SEO campaign. So, okay. We have a couple minutes left. If you have any questions for each other, I'll give you a chance to ask them, but we'll probably wrap up here. We went a little longer on backlinks than I meant to, but honestly, it's really fascinating to hear different opinions on what's working for you. And especially when it doesn't always line up perfectly, I'm always very fascinated to learn what's working for individual agencies. So I'll give you a second. If you have any questions for each other, go ahead. But
what got you guys into SEO?
I was doing web design first, and I didn't like the subjective nature. Like, I didn't want to spend, 36 hours working on this really nice design and have the client come to me and go, oh, well, listen, my brother's cousin took 3 hours of art class 6 months ago and said that this blue is not the best representation. It's too much. And And I love the idea that, and we might have said that we were going to talk about this or not. I love that a large agency with 37 people can still compete with a two-man shop down the road. It doesn't need to be to where if you are the biggest, if you have the most tools, if you have the most marketing budget or whatnot, because there's instance over instance over instance that someone small in that industry can compete very easily with some massive powerhouse. And I like that balance. I like it that it's accessible for everybody. And I don't have to worry about what color blue they like on that website anymore. It's just whatever color they want. I don't care.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
What about you, Devin?
Me? Pretty much the same thing. It's one of those things where I've always been someone who likes to research into things, and SEO is one of those things where there's thousands of patents and you can dive into them. I think that's one of the things that can set people apart, because it is more competitive now with AI, but still there's certain things that are very granular in terms of the details, and you can still set yourself apart by reading those types of things. But it's one of those things where I could be working with a doctor, with a law firm or whatever, and it's not something that their secretary can give advice on. I know what's going to get them results, and it puts me in the position to where I can advise them with what is best for their website, and there's not really much back and forth other than like branding in terms of the wording and phrasing, house terminology, but other than that, it's just a fun industry to be in. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I can help people. I started working in SEO by some kind of accident, I will tell. I studied history later than journalism and started working with general marketing, and naturally the specializations came in. And after a few years of work, I realized that there is a lot of people doing very great job in this world. A lot of non-profit organization which struggle a lot with, making their presence in the digital web. And I started cooperating in free time with this kind of organization. I think that the breakdown during the COVID. So yeah, I can put my skills, my talent, my free time to making some good in this world, making SEO.
This is a testament to good agencies, and just the fact that your intent is so much to help people, and like the passion behind what you do to be great at it. This is like a good example of what customers should be looking for from agencies.
Yeah, it's our international and organizational culture to helping people, helping businesses, helping people working inside our company, helping people outside. Yeah,
that's a good perspective too. Not just in the agency you're helping people, but the clients outside the agency even as well, right? Devin, Jay, boy, it's great to meet you guys. We appreciate you being on this episode of SEO On Air. We hope to have you back as guests another time. Thank you.